Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. Yo, let's get going out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the world. Welcome on and back again to the Sports Buffoons studios here out of Lenexa, Kansas. Of course, once more, we got the full group. When I say full, we got an extra, as a matter of fact, with us today.
What's up?
Yeah.
We got our draft expert, Todd, with us joining the show for this one. This is going to be awesome because, obviously, we just had an epic past weekend with the draft going down. We got a whole bunch of new Chiefs players to talk about. And we also got Jason JG to my left, far left over here, and Tanner Dawson, of course.
What's up, yo?
So what's going on, fellas?
What up? What up?
How's it
Happy to be
going?
back.
Yeah, it's good for us all to be together again. St. Louis has not pulled me away this week, so that's nice. So I'm hoping I can get back on a normal schedule where I'm available for you guys a little more.
Welcome into the Buffoons, man.
I
Welcome
appreciate it,
into
man.
the
Thank you
Buffoons.
guys for inviting me in here. I've been looking forward to this for a little bit of time.
Todd should also be involved in our fantasy aspects as well down the road as we get closer to fantasy
can do
football
that.
season.
I
So
like that.
I think that'd be a great idea. But
That'd be fun.
he had a lot to talk about when it came to the draft this year with me, and he just kind of we like to bounce things off each other and ideas of what players we like or don't like. And I figure he's perfect to have on the show for this one. Now we can kind of recap a little bit of what the Chiefs did on today's show, and just kind of get your grade at the end of the day.
I
on
wouldn't
this.
call me a fantasy expert either. That's pretty laughable. But,
It's hard to be
appreciate it, though.
a fantasy expert. That's almost like it's like gambling. It's really just luck of the draw, and hopefully you don't get a bunch of injured bums on your team. So
Yeah.
It's not even injured bums. You just don't want the bums on your team.
I mean,
Plain and simple. Those
yeah.
are the worst.
try to avoid
Like
the
you can
bums.
have injured bums on your fantasy team. That's one thing, right? I mean, you're drafting, but it just didn't happen. That's bad luck. Just having bums on your team.
Wow.
Now that's the worst.
Right. We try to avoid that.
We try.
We'll see how next year goes with our league. Maybe Todd can eventually join one day in our league.
could.
Might
We
be a
ask him, I
spot.
think, every year, and every year
Yep.
he says the same thing. So-
Been
Can't
too
do
many
it.
leagues.
right. All right, guys. Well, before we kick it off, what are we all sipping on today? JG?
Well, right now I'm going to start out with the Budweiser Zero. It's actually expired. I think it's been in Tanner's refrigerator for 5 freaking years. And it tastes pretty good, man. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was going to taste like a piece of you-know-what, but it actually tastes pretty good. So I'm trying to go non-alcohol for a while. I got to tell you, this guy over here, he drives from Missouri every day. And I was
Don't hold it
driving.
against me.
I drove from this show from Missouri, and dude, this pickup truck ran into the freaking wall. And I saw 2 wrecks on the way down here, and I don't know what the heck's going on, but at some point, people in Kansas City ceased learning how to drive in the rain. And so
I don't
now
think
all of a
it's
sudden, it
Kansas
just
City.
started raining out all of a sudden, and people just drive into the wall.
Yep. They
Literally on
instantly
I-35,
forget.
dude. I-35, bro, just drove into the wall.
He might have been
And
drunk,
I
too.
almost hit him.
For sure.
And he just started driving on the highway like diagonal or whatever, and I almost nailed him. So I don't know what you guys think about these drivers out here in the rain, but
Pretty
it
bad.
started to piss me off a little bit because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
It's like just when you
Yeah.
think it couldn't get worse, it rains.
And I'm just this normal, sober driver, as I
Right.
do every Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm sober every Wednesday and every Monday and every Thursday and 365 days out of the year.
Well, most people
I
are
am
not.
sober every single day out of the year. Then all of a sudden you have these drunk guys who just don't know how to drive in the rain. And so I was very lucky to escape his BS and trying to make me T-bone him. And I almost T-boned him, dude, on I-35. You guys are lucky that I'm here right now because I wanted to T-bone him. When I see idiot pieces of crap on the road, like this late in the day, I was like, what are you doing, man? Like I could have T-boned him, and I wanted to, but I made a better decision, and I put my foot on the brake, and I did not T-bone this piece of crap.
Right. He's not a professional drunk driver.
No,
that's for
he's
sure,
not.
so.
And he's not a professional sober driver either, which is what I am right now.
Yeah. All right. Todd, what do you got over there?
I got some Sam Smith Old Brewery organic
nice.
lager beer. First time I ever had it.
Where do you find that at? Where was that
I don't
from?
know. I actually got it as a gift for
Gomer's
my
has
birthday the other day.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not too bad.
That's in the organic section.
Yeah.
Or Gomer's.
Oh,
They have
I believe.
organic
What's
beer.
the ABV on that thing? Out of curiosity, is it like a 5 or?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Samuel Smith has been around a long time. It's one of the oldest breweries like in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff there.
It's not too bad.
I got me a little Space Dust IPA and a little Elysian from I think Seattle, Washington is where this one's from. They have great beer without a doubt, but I think I would probably avoid Seattle just out of my own personal thing. Tanner, what you got?
I got the Ant Special of
Yes.
What do you call this, Jason?
So what I'm serving Tanner right now is an amaretto sour,
Yeah, there you go.
but I
With ants?
gave him an
With ants.
overpour of that lemon
I
juice.
just killed one right here, dude.
I gave him an overpour of the lemon juice because amaretto sours, you need to make them a little bit stronger with the Di Serono, which is 28% alcohol. So, yeah, Tanner's rolling with the amaretto sour. He had a little a bug problem in his house because he's getting ready to
It's
move
in
right
one
now.
spot.
Got a splash of simple syrup.
Splash of simple syrup.
I've never seen any bugs in 4 years in his house my whole life, and now all of a
we
sudden he's got
one
bugs
spot.
because he's getting ready to move. But
He does
anyway,
get gnats in here every once in a while and fruit
the
flies.
bugs
Let's go
did
through
not
the
get
door.
into the amaretto sour, so he's got a hardcore amaretto sour over there.
All right. Very nice. I like it. Well, let me
Pretty
know if you
solid.
see any ants in there, too, because you never know when they're going to pop up.
Hey, it's just extra protein, dude.
Sure. Down them, man. It's kind of like the worm in the tequila. You know, it's almost like that, but
yeah.
little ants in your amaretto. I kind of like the idea of that.
I offered him a shot, but he didn't have any shot glasses
Have you
left
guys,
because the ants got into there.
Have you guys seen the videos? And I shared it with you, and you didn't see it. And you might. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but it's two guys that sit in northern Florida, okay, and they do these taste testings,
Okay.
right? Reaction videos, but they actually try to taste. One guy can't stand it. The other guy's like, yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I don't know if I'll like it. They took the water bugs, those thick old water bugs. I showed you that,
Yeah, I
that
saw
video.
that.
Very gross.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
They
But
ate
they
it.
do some other crazy
Do they eat
stuff.
'em?
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nasty.
they do.
I'll pass.
But the guy, like,
That's
they all
nasty.
just, of course, the guy's dry heaving. One guy dry heaves the entire time.
Tanner said we should do it on the show, and I'm like, I'm
we
not
should,
doing that.
man. We should do water
I'm
bugs.
not eating bugs on the show. So next week we're gonna have a whiskey bourbon tasting, as a matter of fact, on the show. So
Yes.
hope you get your livers ready for that one.
We could throw some bugs into that if you want.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
do that.
it'll be interesting. I think we have like 12 bourbons to go through, so get yourself ready,
God
guys.
dang, man.
I know. It's the dad special. He put something together, and we're gonna try it, give him a review, and then we can talk about it in Vegas.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. All right, guys, you ready to jump on into some Chiefs draft talk now?
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
hey, we ended up being, I think, a pretty productive draft at the end of the day for the Chiefs. I wouldn't say that every pick went exactly the way I would have liked it to go, but when does that ever happen? I would say the last time that happened was probably like 2010. When the Chiefs took Eric Berry, and I really liked McCluster even in that point. Javier Arenas,
I did too.
I thought was awesome as well in
Yeah.
that pick.
Mistake.
I think there was, I know, but the draft itself I liked. I thought it was a great draft.
For sure.
But sometimes you go into it and you might think to yourself, I'm kind of disappointed or whatever, but you don't really know what's going to happen until they get on the field and start producing, or lack of producing,
For sure.
like some players. But man, I'm curious what you guys think. Let's kind of do a little rundown of how things went for the Chiefs before we move on to a little bit more overall draft talk. The number one pick for the Chiefs, Josh Simmons, left tackle from Ohio State. They finally took an Ohio Stater. The Chiefs, that's something the Chiefs typically
And that
never
was
do.
Also trading with the Eagles.
One
between
pick down.
So
Right.
I thought that was a brilliant move.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
going
One
down
spot.
one spot and
Yeah.
getting a fifth rounder. I was expecting
I
a seventh, maybe a sixth.
I was
Right.
thinking that too. And then they came back with a fifth.
Yep.
We were discussing on the phone actually, Mike and I, and
Mm-hmm.
I was happy with it. Starsky I know was happy with it too, because Bills fan, and he hates everything. So
leading up to the draft, Brett Veach openly talked about some of the offensive tackles in this class that he found to be appealing. And I guess he was being honest. He wasn't trying to put the wool over our eyes or anything like that or catch us off guard. He literally went out there and got the guy he wants all along. I'm curious though. My only problem with it is where does he fit in this season, if at all? Because the Chiefs obviously made the addition at left tackle, right tackle with Jawan Taylor. I've heard lately he might be on thin ice with the team, but just still paying him a lot of money. He's going to be our starting right tackle without a doubt. Josh Simmons coming off the knee injury. I think it was a meniscus. Was it a no? It was a
patella.
Patella tendon.
tendon.
Patella tendon what he's coming off of, which is a little more serious than your typical ACLs and things like that. Needs a full year recovery. So this is more of a pick for 2026 and beyond. But man, what are the odds? What are the chances you guys think he could see the field this year if one of those tackles ends up just not holding up to par on his job?
I actually think he will get on the field this year. I would say probably. I mean, Andy Reid says he'll be ready for training camp. I'm not so optimistic. I'd guess probably halfway through the season we might start to see him get ramped up quite a bit. And but if the dude comes back healthy, he's a player, absolute player.
Yeah.
But it's wait and see.
Right. So it kind of almost makes it feel a little lackluster just because you want an impact guy right away when you have a first-round pick. In this case, it's more of just kind of waiting to see if we have an injury, which is nice to have some insurance if we have an injury up front or if somebody's just not doing their job.
If he's ready to go and he's one of the best five, you play him at left guard. I mean, if he's better than Suamatia, play him over him. I mean,
Yeah.
Especially on that left side, yeah.
And I don't think he's going to start over Taylor, but if he gets hurt, plug him in right there.
I think you have some option with him too, and like you said, the injury is what the key concern is about this pick here, and that's what bothered me right away was knowing the fact that he is coming off, or he still has this partially torn tendon there, and I mean having Jalen Moore, being able to go out and get him, which is a great pick there. Look, at worst, you might have a guy for next year, right? And at least you have somebody that you can plug in too. On top of, we already know what Wanye seems to be, so we're not too concerned about that. So at least you have somebody there as a more insurance piece coming into the left-right tackle situation.
Yeah, the thing that stood out most to me, and Jason, I'm going to get your opinion on this too, is that for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career, he will now officially have a left tackle that can now develop with him, with Mahomes. Within the footwork of Mahomes, Mahomes is going to know where this guy's setting up at. Whereas every year in Mahomes' career, I mean, we went through Eric Fisher. I mean, we've gone through so many different guys within Mahomes'
Wasn't this
career.
kind of the same deal outside of the injury and all that? Like, we had high expectations for
Suamatia.
Suamatia. I was like
Suamatia.
Suamatia.
I'm the pronunciation guy.
But we had really high hopes with this kid last year.
Sure.
And when he got his, he looked good for, I think, one game. And then he came back out and, he couldn't protect anything to save his life.
Yeah, it was bad.
And so it's like, what do we, how do we temper our expectations? Do we bring down our expectations for Josh Simmons knowing what happened last year? Or is that even appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go into it understanding it's going to be a process to ease him in a little bit. For me, we've seen how tackles develop. It's hard as a rookie left tackle to come in right away and just be a top 5 or top 10 guy. I mean, like I talked about Eric Fisher a minute ago. He was horrible his first 2 or 3 years in the NFL.
Over 2 years.
Took him a while to grow into his body and also just the technique of the position. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, by year 5 and 6, the guy's pretty dang good. Yeah. We actually had a good player at that point. Yeah. And so I think you just got to give them a little bit benefit of the doubt. I was curious, too. I know you liked Josh Connerly as well.
I did.
Longer arms, that kind of thing.
He was one of the most athletic tackles I've ever seen. And granted, I'm just a YouTube scout, but his athletic ability is off the charts. And yeah, I was big on him. I honestly thought at 28 the Chiefs might go up and get him. Mm-hmm. But when it got past 28, I was like, we're not moving at all. And yeah, but anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, Jason, what are your thoughts on Mr. Josh Simmons for the Chiefs?
For me, with Josh Simmons, I don't really care what he's going to produce this year because this is a 10-year down the road pick. I want to know who's going to protect Patrick Mahomes for the next 5 years,
round 1?
10 years.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
because you're building. You're not building.
Starting 10 years down.
You're not building for next year. You're building for the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career.
Exactly.
So if Josh Simmons is going to be there, and we can make sure that he's going to be there for the next 10 years, that's all I care about. So at the end of the day, I don't care what's going to happen this year. You know, the world that we live in right now is like, what can you give me right now? What can you show me at the drop of a hat? That's not how the world works, and that's not how the NFL works. The NFL works in terms of development. And for me, Josh Simmons is a guy that we're going to be able to depend on for the next 5 years, 3 years, 7 years, 10 years. And that's all I care about. And so I don't really care about what happens this year because we got, Jalen Moore out there, and that's kind of a short-term fix. But I love the pick with Josh Simmons, and let's get somebody in there for the long term. That's what I'm talking about. And let's get rid of this whole mentality of, I want you to show me something now. I want you to produce and protect Patrick Mahomes now. We got to get away from that mentality and look towards the long term. Mike and I talk about this every day in terms of like professional gambling. And a lot of it holds true in the NFL and professional sports. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. So I care about.
Disagree with that.
I care about.
Disagree with that.
Oh, I'm sure you would, as you always do. I care about the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career over the long term. I do not care over a 1-year sample size in terms of what this guy can produce.
I want him to be on the roster, Simmons, when Mahomes turns 40 years old. That's ultimately the goal
That's
here.
the whole point.
Sure.
Give him a left tackle of the future to work with for the rest of his career instead of going through this constant circus of. We've got like 5 or 6 different left tackles since Mahomes has been a starter now in this league.
Ever since Fisher went down,
it's
been
just somebody new
rotating
constantly.
That's the whole idea of professional sports is to have continuity. Right. You don't want to have guys in and out of there. Like, and we're going to talk about the Lakers a little bit later. Like, this is a brand new team with the Lakers with LeBron James and Luka Doncic, and people want things to work out at the drop of a hat, and that's not how professional sports works. This is a long-term endeavor, and you have to let these things develop over a long period of time.
I think ultimately we're all going to end up liking the pick, and we're going to say it was great value. Getting a guy who's a potential top 10 pick if he's healthy, got him at 32 overall.
I mean, doesn't this feel like if you're saying that, let's say Josh Simmons comes out and he acts like we want him to, right? That's what we want. This is a Trey Smith style pick. At a bigger capacity.
I mean, it's a grand slam.
Like Trey Smith was a 6th round that was supposed to go, first, 2nd round?
Yeah, probably.
And he had the
second.
Injury to his tricep or something like that, and ended up falling to us. And now look at him, all pro guard.
We got a steal on
no
that
problem.
Yep.
So I feel like this is in a way a bigger moment if he does work out, a bigger moment than even what Trey Smith was.
Yeah, speaking of Tennessee guys, let's move over to our 2nd round pick.
Hold on, real quick.
Oh, you got something else?
Yeah, Scott Cobb out here commenting. What's up, Scott? He says, "Is the offensive line coach in Kansas City one of the top line coaches in the league?"
I wouldn't
Probably
say that.
not.
I don't think I would say that. No.
Okay.
Probably Phillies.
Yeah.
Philly's offensive line coach. Is Howard Mudd still in the league?
Ooh, he's got to be old as hell if he is. He's got to be like
almost
I know
85 or something.
Phillies is definitely top. It's definitely top because they.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think when you talk about coaching, you got to think about how players have, evolved over time, and basically just how that they've developed. If we have guys that develop well over the long haul, then that kind of shows coaching's in there. But things like Trey Smith, he was already good to begin with. Then Creed Humphrey too was already great to begin with. I don't really know that other than like Andrew Wiley was one that was terrible in the beginning and then developed into a really good player.
Who was
the guard?
Who was the guard who went to New Orleans? Oregon State guard, 6th rounder, a couple years ago.
That one?
Oh my gosh!
Come on, Mike. What the hell?
It's the off season.
Allegretti.
Yes,
Allegretti.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought we did an.
That was another decent development. I mean, the guy wasn't he like a 7th round pick?
Yeah.
And he ended up developing into a decent player.
Yeah, he turned out to be pretty hot. And then Scott believes Josh Simmons will be evaluated on his performance this year and also going forward.
Well, I'll be curious where he plays because as we alluded to, there's a chance left guard is an option for Simmons if we feel like it's an issue going into the season.
I feel like, though, too, like just real quick on the left guard situation, right? Let's say Kingsley doesn't work out. Just the way Andy Reid operates for me on a depth chart way, he probably leans towards Caliendo over anybody else.
That's scary.
We'll see.
You know what I mean? Like, it sucks, but
Yeah.
I think he leans towards Caliendo if that has to be.
You can lean on him until you realize it's not working out, and then you got to make a
fall
move.
over.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Are you guys ready to jump over to the second round here?
Yeah.
That'll work.
All right. Speaking of Tennessee, we got our defensive tackle, which to me all this was a Tershawn Wharton replacement. Mr. Omar Norman-Lott is his name. Little undersized defensive tackle, did not play every snap. Situational pass rush type of guy. I think he only had a handful of starts in his career. Although he did play in a lot of games, he was not necessarily a starter for the team. I was really surprised by this pick because I felt like that Darius Alexander was still on the board, which I thought would have been a better option.
I'm with you on that.
A more well-rounded every down D tackle compared to what this
6'4",
is.
305, right up
yeah.
Spagnuolo's.
Yeah, the athleticism
Yeah.
there would have been
Yep.
phenomenal to see.
For sure.
And I was really surprised that the Chiefs went this route. But I think all they tried to do is go, this guy is a similar build as Tershawn Wharton, same style of player. But when I think about Tershawn Wharton, I go, is Tershawn Wharton a second-round player? No, I'm not going to. No, I don't think so. Tershawn Wharton was a really good situational pass rush D tackle that developed over time into a good player. This one, to me, was probably my biggest issue with the draft.
It was a head scratcher for sure.
Just because I felt like there was better options to go there, and you kind of forced a pick because you knew you needed D tackle in this draft.
Absolutely.
And you just kind of forced a need at that point. But even then, when you forced a need, you got a guy that I think just was not going to be your every down D tackle, unfortunately. So, do you guys feel any different about that, or what are your thoughts on Mr. Omar Norman-Lott?
I mean, I would say it was a bad pick just because he was projected to go in the third or the fourth round, and it felt to me like it was a reach. Now, having said that, I understand the upside. I understand that he can be great in the pass rush, so maybe they're going to prove me wrong. I just don't like reaching for a guy like that in the second round that was projected to be a third or fourth rounder. So,
This one, was a head scratcher because there was other guys that.
I think we both like Darius Alexander, who was on the board still.
I would have been great there, but I think also maybe something Veach is looking at too. That's a part-time player, right? And you see his explosiveness set up in certain situations at Tennessee, right? Part-time player, right, in certain situations. Now, what if we can develop him alongside this line and become one of those guys?
He's going to have to be a full-time player.
One of those guys.
This D tackle position for the Chiefs right now is dwindling away. We keep letting guys walk because we can't afford to pay them all. Chris Jones is there, but then after that, you got Mike Pennell returned. And
Tillery.
What's that? Oh, yeah,
Tillery's
Tillery's still hanging around.
Yeah.
He's been an underachiever in his career to this point.
Tia Polutu, Lovett Senior.
Right, you got to hope
you
one of
gotta
those
hope.
guys pans out.
Yeah, exactly. So, I feel like this is more of a, what do I want to say, more of pushing towards an upside of a guy that doesn't have the usage that anybody else has, and the fact that nobody will have true tape on him past a certain amount of scenarios. I don't know. I just feel like there's something with it. There's a reason why Veach chose this.
I get a little worried about the run defense up the middle at this point with this situation. Mike Pennell's 34 years old, and as good as he was a few years ago, especially during the initial Super Bowl run, shutting down Derrick Henry in the playoffs and so on, it's not the same Mike Pennell as what we saw when he was 28 or 29. And really, that's the thing, is that's all we got as a run defender in the D tackle position. Chris Jones is not necessarily a run defender, and neither is Norman-Lott.
Tillery.
But
Tillery might be big
I said,
enough, but can he get that? Can he close that gap?
So maybe the Chiefs have a plan. Maybe there's something they're still trying to go after to fill that
I was looking
spot.
on the free agent list. I didn't see much D
yeah.
line.
I think for the Norman-Lott here, this is a
Projection type of pick.
more of a pass rush, if anything. That's their focus this year. We're gonna go after it. They might run 110 yards, but that QB is gonna sacked 4 times.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the linebackers is all.
Yep.
Yeah,
Bolton's
it
gonna be a
does.
busy man.
Yeah.
That's why we signed Bolton to that
That's
big
why
contract.
they re-signed him, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna go ahead and screw on D tackle and just keep bolting around, I guess. All right. So, any other thoughts on Norman-Lott, or kind of
I'm good.
Underwhelmed on that one?
I just I don't like drafting situational players. I like just can the guy play football or not?
Right.
It's like I looked at Darius Alexander just like you, 6'4", 305, pretty athletic.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of Jay Ratliff back in the day. I think the Giants drafted him.
Played for the Cowboys for a while.
Yeah. But just give me a player, man. I don't want a situational player, but
Yeah.
I'm open-minded that he'll turn out to be a player. I hope.
I'm looking here too. His prospect grade was 6.16, but his athleticism score was only a 61, which is 30th in DT. So, like, there's something out there, Veach. I don't know what you got up your sleeve here, but there's something out there.
There's something he must have liked about him, I guess. But we'll see how it pans out.
It's one of those things where I feel like we all think he sucks, but then he's gonna just like
he's gonna
pop out of nowhere.
I would love for that to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see, but I think we all kind of were thinking a different direction on that pick. Now in the third round we had Ashton
Giollotte,
Giollotte,
the edge from Louisville.
Right, that one was, as well. At first, when I saw the pick come through, I didn't care for it too much. And the more I started looking into it, it kind of grew on me a little bit to where I was okay with it. And we needed to get some other kind of pass rusher D-end on this team anyway. Felix is not quite up to par at this point. 3 years in and hasn't done anything of note. And I guess Giollotte and George Karlaftis have been good friends for a while. So, I mean, you got some kind of what's the word? Cohesiveness?
Cohesiveness?
Yes.
I don't know.
Continuity.
There we go.
Yeah.
You got some of that at least to work with people that have been around each other a bit and worked with each other. The good thing about Giollotte is that he is kind of a relentless, nonstop motor kind of guy, kind of like Karlaftis. And he's good at those stunts and good with blitz, rushing inside and creating havoc that way as far as the penetration between the tackle and the guard. Does a great job at that stuff. His outside pass rush, probably something that we wish could be a little better. But in the third round, you're not going to get anybody elite necessarily at that. But I think he could be a well-rounded player. I think he's a guy that could be good against the run and decent in the pass rush department. So it grew on me to where I was like, all right, I'm cool with it. Hopefully he pans out to be decent and can rotate in with the rest of the DNs on this team.
First thing I thought of when that pick came across, I was like, Rudy Rudiger. Short and just kind of thick barreled.
Yeah.
This guy Giollotte, he's got a thick lower body. He's very strong. He does have a nice little bend when he gets on the arc. But I'm kind of like you. The more I heard the experts talking about him and I watched him a little bit. I think he can be a solid player.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually kind of the same process. I was thinking more along the lines of a Princely Umalian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you pronounce his name. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 240, 250.
Yeah.
Just a long,
a little more of that pure pass rush type of a
just
style
pass
player.
rusher. And I never thought that we'd draft somebody 6'2", 270.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of a weird build, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely not a Spags normal guy, but like I said, I'm open-minded to it. He seems like he's pretty solid player.
I think we're going to see lots of twists and stunts with the D-line like this because, like I said, the thing that stood out with him is just his inside pass rush and what he's able to do to create havoc on the line. Maybe could allow for some things to come on the outside from someone else, maybe a Leo Chenal or whatever, if he's used more in that role. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It was a third-round pick. What are you really hoping for? Maybe a wide receiver or something there, but I think that he's going to end up being an okay player for the team in the end.
I mean, if we look here, too, at the breakdown, too, athleticism score, he was third best on the DN's range, the 84.
He doesn't look like he would be, but he was.
15th in total score, 14th in production, 72. I mean, this kid, too, right? He played for a winning team this last season, just kind of like what Josh Simmons was. He played for a winning team in Louisville. Louisville had a really great season defensively as well as offensively, so something we can't forget. Louisville put the pressure on a lot of teams, and Ashton was part of that success there in the college football ranks. So we got to remember that too. Like, we also don't need, similar to our first round pick, we don't need this guy today. We don't, right? What are you going to do here? What are you going to do with Karlaftis, Omenihu, Dana, Felix? Like, hearing? We saw hearing out there, for God's sake. So, like, we don't need this kid today to be something. What we need is week 17, week 15, week 16, get those fresh legs, get that rotation, and that's when you need them the most. So I like the fact that he's going to be able to grow this season, pending injuries, for God's sakes. But he's a guy that if we can have two guys, if you're going to have a Karlaftis motor and now an Ashton motor coming at you, I mean,
it's not a bad thing.
That leaves it open for somebody.
Right.
The way Spags.
I'm hoping maybe this will push Felix a little bit because Felix, if you can't beat out this third-round pick on the depth chart, then you're done in KC, unfortunately.
As far as Felix goes, I'll leave open a little bit of a window for him because I remember, he's pretty young.
Yeah, he's 23 still, I think.
Yeah, he's. I remember D Ford. He sucked his first 2 years, and then he started to come on his third year.
He had 10 and a half sacks that third year.
And then his fourth year, I think that's what. He blew up then, and so I'll leave open a little window for Felix, but Ashton, his motor kind of reminds me of Tamba Hali's a little bit.
Oh, that's a good one. Actually, similar size too.
Yeah,
Tamba I think was like right at that 6'3", but he weighed around that 265 to 270 range. Yep. So yeah, honestly, if this guy could be anything close to Tamba Hali, then that would be awesome because Tamba's one of my favorite Chiefs of all time. I'm hoping we could be even close to that. So, yeah, that's a good. I like that comparison. Tamba was a lot of fun to watch, especially when he had Justin Houston with him. That shit was nasty.
Yeah, that was fun.
So, any other thoughts on that third round pick there?
No.
Yeah, I'm with Tanner on that. I like the explosive athletic ability, and I think the fact that he had 26 and a half sacks, 41 tackles for a loss in 4 seasons. I mean, I think I like the upside there for sure.
Yeah, nice. I'm looking forward to it. I got a couple more guys I want to talk about for a minute. I didn't put him in our chat earlier, but Noel Williams, cornerback from California, 4th round pick. His comparison, guys, closest comparison was Marcus Peters. Just based on the ball hawking abilities, size-wise, very similar. And just a lot of their traits athletically are extremely similar. But 7 interceptions led the FBS last year, which is something the Chiefs need to do a better job of forcing turnovers. Yep. So I think that's one of the reasons that they added this guy to the list here. I liked the pick right away because I wanted to get another corner anyway. He runs a 4.5, so it's not the fastest guy in the world. But, if you can bait quarterbacks like Peters used to do.
His read and react skills, I watched him today, and his read and react skills are just top-notch.
Yeah.
No.
He breaks on the ball just in an instant.
He finds it so easy.
Instincts are so huge as a cornerback, and I think he's going to fit in great with that. And we'll see kind of what comes of it, with the current situation at corner for the team. But, there's been some chatter that L'Jarius Sneed could even be at some point released from the Titans, which would be crazy.
Maybe.
I know, maybe this guy can be that. It's kind of a playmaker, kind of a style like L'Jarius Sneed brought, physical.
Right.
I'm hoping, and now I haven't seen all of his film, but I'm hoping he can tackle better than Marcus Peters did. That would be very important in Spags' defense.
He is, so a lot of the reports that I've seen too for Noel, he is a sure tackler. This guy is about to run in the tackler. So not only can he find the ball, he can come up and hit somebody.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that shies away and makes those business decisions.
So
we got to remember that.
He also does a little bit in the return game. I don't know that that's a strong suit of him. I didn't really see him break
it's
for a touchdown, but
it's still that reaction he has, right?
Yeah.
And look, you go find the ball, you kind of know how to return it up.
Yeah.
And I think it's a huge win for him.
I'm excited about this pick.
When's the last time we had a Tyreek Hill? Was the last time we had a true, I think, return man?
Oh,
we've
just been kind of
been a while
going through random guys, I guess.
Meikle was Meikle.
Yeah, Hardman's was okay, for that kind of stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. I like the kid a lot. I did look here on his score breakdown, and he was 21st in corners, which is that's a lot of corners, 67. But his production score was 80. That was 4th best.
Right.
That's the kind of way we want to go. We want to look at here from a total score breakdown too. He was 10th best. So, hey, I think we got ourselves a little sneaky guy. Now, like you said, where does he fit in the depth chart remains to be seen. What happens with Nazi, right?
That's
the question mark.
The goal is for him to kick Nazi Johnson
Sure.
out.
Knock him down.
Bro, honestly, because we got Christian Fulton, right, from the Chargers.
Right.
This could
I forgot
potentially
about that.
knock either Nazi or Josh Williams out of here. I think Joshua Williams could
Man, the thing
could
is,
get cut.
I know he gets kind of a bad rap because sometimes he gets caught up in making mistakes. But
He always gets caught up in making mistakes.
I still like Josh
What are you
Williams.
talking about?
No, I know. I still like Josh Williams overall. I mean, he's not perfect, of course, but I think he's an okay, cornerback 3 or 4 maybe. But I wouldn't give up on Josh Williams just yet. Is all. But he's never going to be as good as his
he's
counterpart.
been all right for a
but-
4th rounder.
I think you'll probably get him to stay. Nazi will probably be on his way out, and I mean, depends what they do in the safety range too. You might get still might have a guy there. So
Yeah, Tanner, you were obsessed with safeties in this draft. We
I
didn't
was.
take a single one.
Dude,
He was all
stupid.
about take the safety the first round. I'm
He
like,
wanted
Tanner.
Malachi Starks, Emin Warrior.
give me all the safeties.
Right, he wanted all of them, I guess. All right. One more guy I wanted to talk about, if we, unless you guys want to talk about Bossa, but Jalen Royals, I think, is going to be a really fun addition to this team. He was a guy, Todd, I know you were a big fan of. We talked on day 3. You kind of gave me a list of your top, I think, 15 prospects.
Yep.
He was on that list. And I think he's going to be an awesome addition. The guy plays primarily outside, which is important because we don't have an outside receiver necessarily on this roster. Worthy did a good job with that stuff, but Rashee Rice is our slot guy. And I think that Jalen Royals being a primarily apparently left side of the formation, outside receiver, just going to create some opportunities for him to make plays. But man, I was excited for this pick.
That's interesting you say that, and all the comparisons that I saw was a Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
For Royals, sure. I'm just saying the way we use Rashee Rice is primarily as a slot guy, and that's by design. Rashee Rice could play.
Okay. I see what
Rashee
you're
Rice
saying.
can play outside more.
Yeah.
I think we just prefer him in the slot because we're able to get him open more in the slot.
We want to get the ball. I see
So
what you're saying.
to me, but Jalen Royals primarily is an outside guy, but very productive as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guy can win one-on-one matchups. He's got decent speed, runs a 4.4, good size, 6 foot, 200 pounds roughly. And good hands from everything I've seen at this point. Quick. His 10-yard split, I think, was like
1.5.
It was top. It was top of the whole wide receiver class, I believe.
I can't remember. I don't know.
I think it was number 1 in the whole wide receiver class.
Dude's athletic. Like you said, he catches the ball with his hands. His movement, I'm not comparing him to this guy, but his movement skills remind me of Malik Neighbors. He moves like Malik Neighbors. Really athletic. He'll go up after balls. I don't know if he's going to have a ton of production this year, but I think next year when Marquise Brown's gone, who knows with the Rashee Rice situation. I know you think he wasn't driving or anything, but
No, he wasn't. He was not driving
Did
that
the league
car.
forget about Rashee
He
Rice?
was
Did they
not driving that
Did they
car,
forget
man.
that happened?
No,
Because we haven't heard a
old
damn
news.
thing
I thought
about
that
it.
would have
news.
came out like 3-4 weeks ago.
I'm just saying
That's
the
why
league,
they
the league
forgot
might have
about
about it.
because he wasn't driving the freaking car.
Goodell
and
smoked some
everybody
weed or
knows it,
something,
man.
and he's like, "Wait, what happened? I didn't know about that."
But no, this dude, I think next year will slot in just seamlessly with our team, and
Yeah,
I think this is a nice pick.
I think potentially early on this year he's still going to be involved if we have a Rashee Rice suspension. And then with Hollywood Brown, he's injured all the time, man.
You're right.
Always injured, so he's going to miss a few games, which to me means Jalen Royals is going to have opportunities throughout this season to get acclimated to the roster. So
So the NFL is waiting for the legal process to conclude. So this could happen during the season,
It's been
still
going
this
on
year.
for seems like
That'd be
5 years.
that'd be
now.
this happened.
It takes a while when you didn't do anything wrong. That might take a while to figure out what the hell happened.
It's because there's no video of him driving while in the car. They saw him get out of the car, but
Right.
how do they know he was driving in that car?
He was in the passenger seat, and then he switched to the driver's
switched.
seat.
Yeah, that's what they can't prove right now is what
Well,
happened with
that's
that.
a problem.
Fucking guy.
Hey, the last time you said that it was fake news about the Worthy thing, you were right. Remember that when Worthy's girlfriend was being a dumb bitch.
I knew it was right because we've played cards with this guy before at the casino.
And you said
He was an upstanding guy,
you said
wasn't
he
he's a
didn't
normal card playing guy, just like the rest of
and
us.
you said he didn't do that crap. And you
Yeah.
know what? He didn't.
He
She
didn't
was
do
a lying
anything wrong,
bitch.
dude.
And he did it.
We all like to go
So-
play cards at the casino, and we saw that guy.
Yeah, just like we
I'm
know.
not gonna say what casino he plays at, but we were there. He was a normal guy, and then
Yep.
some people, some of these women like to get money off of some of these men.
Just like Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
Same thing.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
if you're a man in the NFL, so keep a hold of your wallet. That's all I can say.
I've heard
Keep a hold of
believe
your
all
freaking
women
wallet.
was what I've heard. So. I don't think they'd make up stories these days. All right, guys. What else do you have on Mr. Jalen Royals? Anything?
I think for me in general, I'm excited for him. Both great scores, right? 11th in athleticism score, 8th in production score, 6th in total score. You said a 1.49 splits.
That's awesome. 1.4.
Right,
Yeah,
4.4240. I love
Does it show that? Was that number one in the whole class?
It doesn't show.
Dang, okay. I thought it was number one or top 3 at least in that
Yeah.
10-yard split.
Doesn't show. So, but like the fact that we got a guy that's talented. We got a guy that's the opportunity here. I'm more curious to see, like, he played at Utah State. Okay, great. Now you got to go against corners, a little above what Utah State has gone against in the secondary and the scheme here. Now, how effective can you be? How adaptive can you be inside the NFL? And that's kind of where I'm a little worried on that side because there's a reason why you were at Utah State for a reason and not at a bigger school.
I will say before he got hurt, he was on pace for 1,400 yards, probably 12 touchdowns roughly. I mean, that's pretty good production. And I don't know how good his quarterback was. So
Utah State had a pretty decent team
Did
in
they?
college football. Yes, they did last year. Mainly because I bet a few of the games, and they were on the top. So
He would.
Utah State definitely had a decent team, right? It was a above par team. But I'm just, again, for my sake, just from a competition standpoint, that's where I worry is where does he sit here when he has to go against a Marlon
elite.
Humphreys
Yep.
or even one of the third string guys that could start somewhere else. So, but I'm excited to see how we move him in the scheme. And can we get the guy the damn ball when he needs the damn ball? That's the plan. That's the biggest answer
Protect
that we
Mahomes
say
and
every
we'll-
time.
he'll
You
get
got
it
the
to
quarterback to
anybody.
do it, so just got to give him some time.
Well, I've seen Mahomes protected, and I've seen the ball go nowhere, so many times.
Yeah, for me, Royals, before the injury, he had 55 receptions, 835 yards, or 834 yards, 6 touchdowns before that injury. So let's kind of see what he can do. I think he can pop for sure.
All right, I do want to talk about one more guy, just because I really think that this was a need on this team, as a matter of fact, was finding a linebacker that was good in coverage, something we have not had in this team in a while now. Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon, guy primarily.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, the guy. No, the guy I think is going to be ideal for certain situational packages on third down and things like that. Because he supposedly has been covering tight ends in college. A guy apparently
athletic.
pretty athletic, really instinctive as well. Plays the ball well, and that's something that we don't really see from, of course, Leo Chenal. Nick Bolton's not great at it at all, and Tranquil, that's not really how he's used here in KC anyway. So I think this was a great pick just because it does fill a situational need and just gives us a little more versatility in that linebacking department because it's something that has been worrisome to me, especially last year, guys. You guys remember the tight ends just destroying us throughout the first 10, 11 weeks of the season.
Yep.
And you got to bring in a third safety sometimes to help cover that up. But, gosh, if you have a linebacker that can do that, to maybe catch the quarterback off guard a little bit, that's nice to have too. So I like this pick.
Yeah, I like Bassa. I think you're going from also on a winning program, a winning team, coming into the NFL there. So I think you got a guy that knows how to win.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the key there from that aspect. So, by the way, I do want to shout out here. I know we're going to overskip him here, but don't sleep on Brashard Smith, SMU.
I think
Don't sleep on Brashard
give him 8
Smith.
to 10 touches
SMU.
a game and split him out wide. Give him a couple runs.
If you guys pay attention to college football at all last year, SMU would have been high on your list there. from a betting standpoint, and there's a reason why. That running game.
He was recruited to Miami. He played there
Correct.
for his 3 years. Well, he sat on the bench for his 3 years, and then decided to transfer to SMU. To me, this was a Clark Hunt pick. I think Clark Hunt wanted one of his boys from SMU. Is all this really came down to. But we needed a running back. I'm glad
I know you think it's a Clark Hunt pick, but this is also
he averaged 6 yards a carry last year, I believe.
Yeah,
5.7.
5.7. Yeah. But this is a guy too. I would watch here. This is a guy stays healthy. He can be dynamic. He's a guy that we need explosiveness out of the backfield.
Return game too.
A big return game guy.
Return game's potential, but man, I just want a guy that can break it 40, 50 yards, on this team again. Cause we haven't had that in a while.
I'm just saying. Watch out for Brashard Smith. Don't sleep on him just because he's a 7th round pick out of SMU. Again, SMU is one of the highest classes of football at this moment after the last couple of years. So I want you to remember this: that explosive offense was the reason why they were so great last year. He's one of the main reasons.
All right. Well, that pretty much is a rundown of the draft. Seems like we agree on most things there. I think the Norman-Lott one and everything we agreed on, and for the most part, I think we're fairly happy with the outcome of this draft. I was curious if you guys had to give it a grade, as that we always like to have fun with grading things these days. What would you give this draft class for the Chiefs?
B+.
B+.
Thought it was solid, very solid. I mean, obviously we're going to have to wait on Josh Simmons a little bit, but if he comes back and he's healthy, I mean this is a grand slam. But without knowing all those factors, B+.
All right, I like it. What else you guys got?
I like that. I'd probably go A- just because you never know what Brett Veach is going to pull off. I mean, he could make a couple of bad picks here and there, but he also likes to take risks, and I appreciate that about him. So, I'll go with A-.
All right, Tanner, what you got?
See, I got an A, and the reason I got an A this year is because we actually hit areas we needed, and I think we hit them hard too.
I had to.
I think you hit exactly what you needed to. You got rid of picks you didn't really necessarily need to cause issues for positions, right? Late in the draft, you got rid of a lot of your 7th and 6th round picks. You didn't even have a 6th round pick because you traded it away, and your compensatory picks as well. So I think the way they went about it was more of an A in my standpoint here. I loved what we hit on, and I mean, it's exciting to see what exactly we addressed.
I think I'm going to give this one just a B, to be kind of a harsh critic on this, just because when I look at this class, I don't see anyone that I know is going to be an immediate impact player. And when the key word is that I know is going to be an immediate impact player. There's guys that could develop and be good players, of course, in this roster, even this year. But I don't look at this class and go, oh, he's going to start day one and make an impact on this roster and be good.
That's fair.
And that's the main reason why I would say just a B for me. Now, this might be a draft class we looked at in 3 or 4 years and say, man, that was awesome, through the development, through time, everything like that with some of these players. But I think this team still has some issues right now that would like to be fixed that I can rely on day one, that week one game, wherever we're playing, whoever we're playing that day. I don't think I see a player in this draft that I know is going to make an impact on that week one game. And so for me, that's why I'm going to give it a B, just for the lack of that. But otherwise, I think there's some good upside with some of these guys. I mean, I like most of the players that they took. So I think 2 years from now, we're going to look back and be pretty happy with the way it turned out.
All right, so we got Scott Coburn in the comments here. The schedule for the Chiefs running back wise is extremely difficult, so they better shore up the middle of that line, stop those backs.
That's what we talked about a little bit ago with Norman-Lott. Just I don't think he's a run-stopping D tackle. I don't think we have one anymore, other than 34-year-old Mike Pennell.
Yep, and then Brashard Smith can take over games and stretches with his athleticism and be electric in that offense. I do think so. And then he also stated that Mel Kiper said it was a C because we didn't take Shadur Sanders because he is better than Mahomes.
Oh,
Thank
Mel
you, Scott. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Mel Kiper, my favorite. All right.
Did you guys do a drinking game during that time?
Oh, with Kiper?
Yeah.
No, he was missing day 2 for some reason of the draft. I figured he was pouting somewhere the whole time he was gone.
Surprise me.
He wasn't on TV day 2.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, they had Field Yates or whoever it was.
Oh,
on there
okay,
instead.
yeah.
And
I like
he,
Field.
he was on TV the whole time, but Kuiper was missing. I just figured he was crying somewhere about Sanders not being taken early. So.
He was in the he was in the back pulling a
What do you
got
got to say, Jason?
Well, he just Field Yates is the new Mel Kiper, except he's probably a better version of him.
It's hard to be
but
worse, so he's probably better.
Like Mel Kiper is ready to go to the nursing home here in about 5 years, and like Field Yates is the new guy, and they're grooming him for that position because you've seen the hair. Like Mel Kiper always had the great hair, and now all of a sudden, what happened in the last 12 months? Field Yates has this short freaking hair, and all of a sudden, like I didn't recognize the dude. I was like, dude, why'd you grow your hair out? Oh, of course, it's because you're the next Mel Kiper. So it's like that shit happens for a reason.
That's nice of you to say he was going to the senior home when he's actually at the psych ward. So for Mel Kiper.
Whatever. I mean, you guys, Mike hates him more than I hate him. I think he's a guy that he gets paid off. I don't hate the guy. He's trying to make a living for his family.
He's made enough of a living. It's time to stop.
When one of these players' agents tries to pay him to say you need to say this or that about that player, and we're gonna pay you X amount of dollars, like I understand it, man.
Hey,
like he's not a great analyst by any stretch of the imagination, but he's doing a job. And these guys are paying him to say certain things. So that's just how it goes, man.
There's only one Mel Kiper that we're going to follow. That's Mad Mel. Mad Mel on the Pat McAfee show. Who's that? You not know who Mad Mel is?
Mad Mel. I don't know about that one.
You guys don't know who Mad Mel is?
I think I've seen him.
I've seen him. Look it up.
If you never heard of him, that means he sucks.
No. It's Mel Kiper impersonator Ty Schmidt dresses up as Mel Kiper and starts.
I don't want to hear that, dude. Like Frank
Caliendo.
No.
It's amazing.
Frank Caliendo was the GOAT at Mel Kiper
Oh my
impressions.
gosh, you're taking it way too that way, dude.
It was like 6 years ago.
Mad Mel.
Well, before you move on, guys, did you guys have a favorite draft of all the teams? Anybody that stood out? Any team that had a draft that made you poop a little bit?
I would say New England was my favorite just because they're desperate, but at the same time, they had the most amount of players that are ready to start, like ASAP, which is what they need because they suck. So I think I would go with New England on that.
Mine was the Raiders. I thought the Raiders had a fantastic draft from top to bottom. I mean, they Ashton JT going in the first. He's going to be an immediate 300-something touch guy that's going to make an impact on that team. And, they need that. I mean, their quarterback situation's still up in the air. So
can I have the first pick in your guys' fantasy draft?
You going Ashton?
I'll take Jonty.
He's got the touches. I mean, no matter what the volume is going to be there.
He's a special.
I'll let you come pick Genty in the first round.
I also the wide receiver they took from TCU, Jack Beck as well is going to be awesome. I think he's going to fit in really well with that team. And once they get a quarterback they can rely on, he's going to mesh really well with them. But the third round too, I'm a big fan of Darian Porter, a big physical cornerback from Iowa.
Isn't he?
Yeah,
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, big physical corner from Iowa. He runs a 4.3 flat, which is crazy for that size. I love that pick as well. And then they go O-line back to back with Caleb Rogers
and Grant, wasn't it?
Charles Grant, from William and Mary. But then even further down, they got Dante Thornton Jr. from Tennessee, 6'5", 205.
He's a burner.
And a burner, yeah. And you get another fast, speedy wide receiver, but at 6'5", I mean, that's a lot to work with right there. Yep. I love that as well. And then they finished it off. They got a Tonka Hemingway D-tackle, another D-tackle back-to-back. So, I mean, to me, top to bottom, I thought that they had a great draft, and they're going to have some studs in this class. Yep. So the Raiders got better with this one, without a doubt.
Yeah, I think honestly the Broncos and the Raiders had a pretty good draft.
Yeah.
In that standpoint, for me, it's I think the Giants had a pretty good draft. You got Abdul Carter at freaking 3, and you already have a monster front 7. You pop up, you go get Dart right away. I mean,
I don't really know what he's going to be, but
I think there's some potential there, especially with Dowell in that play.
It's probably better than Daniel Jones.
Well, it ain't that hard, man.
It's a low bar.
I do like the Toledo kid, Alexander, the defensive tackle there, but I mean, Scatabo going to Arizona, like straight to the Giants there.
He grew up a Giants fan, too.
Did he really?
Yeah. Like,
he's a player, man.
You're going to have a Giants guy in this play. Just Don't screw it up.
Yeah.
Don't screw it up in the end there. But that's a guy that's probably going to start right away. Nobody's really on that roster right now, so that's worth a damn.
You're talking about Scatterbo?
Scatterbo.
Yeah.
I mean,
they got Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy.
I do
but
think Scatterbo's going to get some looks.
I think you're going to have a little bit more looks there. I mean, Singletary isn't. He's just there, right?
No.
But
he's just a guy.
I really liked what the Giants did as well. I really did. So,
Todd, did you have one in particular, or do you like the Raiders like I do?
I was a big fan of Ashton Junty. Is it Genty or Junty? I'm going to call it Junty.
What did we call it? We had a tracker every
I
week.
haven't learned him yet, man.
Ashton Janty? I think I've been calling him Janty.
I haven't learned the pronunciation yet.
Janty.
We got to figure
I need some
We got to make
practice.
sure we get that one figured out quickly.
No, I was just a massive fan of him.
He was fun to watch.
I wouldn't say I liked any team's draft in particular. I was thinking more players, but
Genty.
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 Yeah, it is Genty. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the off season rolls around and like we forget everything that happened 5 months ago.
I mean, let's be real. It's true.
That happens. My brain, like whenever football season is over, I literally just like I close it down for a few months. Don't think about it too much or worry about it too much. Put it out of my head, and then once we get to August, I'm like, all right, let's turn it back on, back it up. Now it's like it all just clicks right again, and it's all smooth.
See, I'm glad you got like that blank section there between the season. I do it
on purpose. Otherwise, I go crazy.
College basketball going on. We got NBA playoffs, and recently I've really gotten into a little bit of hockey. So Stanley Cup playoffs have been going on too.
I love that
and then
stuff.
baseball on top of it. So
you got UFC, and all that.
UFC,
BS.
yeah.
UFC was fun the other day.
That was fun. That was blast.
We had a good time going to our first UFC event.
I never knew that even the crowd to be like that.
Oh, it was cool, man. It was cool as hell.
Where'd
you guys go?
UFC last Friday?
Saturday.
Where was it?
T-Mobile.
Oh, I didn't realize it was
yeah.
in Kansas City.
Yeah. It was. We've never been to a UFC event, and
it was fun.
It was awesome, man.
Shout out to
really
Buffoons.
Cool. I had a 6-leg parlay that I won, and I don't know anybody.
Did.
I don't watch UFC. I just pick some random things. I'm like, I can't do a 6-leg parlay to save my life on sports I know about.
That's how it always works, man.
It's stupid. All right, guys. Well, before we jump over to the NBA, I had to bring up something we haven't talked about in a long time, which is the National Day of the Day. Something we used to do a little more on this show. For some reason, Wednesdays were just crappy with the national days, but I have a fun one today. So today is National Oatmeal Cookie Day. You might think to yourself, well, why does that matter?
Cookies.
Were you moaning when you said that, Tanner? Okay.
You not know Homer?
Oh yeah, we all know Homer. That's right.
God dang.
Tanner is the modern Homer, I guess. So oatmeal cookies, man. So like, I started thinking about it more. I'm like, I don't really eat cookies anymore. But as a kid, what was your favorite cookie of all time? You got your sugar cookies. There's snickerdoodles. There's chocolate chip cookies. Oatmeal cream pies. I mean, you got a lot to work with there. And I remember The Rock one time on WWF back in the day was talking about his strudel, and basically just that was his thing, was the strudel. So he didn't care about cookies, but I feel like at some point in all of our lives we've probably been into some cookie crap, but I'm curious what you guys like. What's your favorite cookie, your childhood cookie, I should say?
Yeah, that goes two completely different directions for me, because when I was a kid, I really didn't give a hang, dude. I mean, you could give me some Chips Ahoy, and that would be my favorite thing of the day.
Oreos. Did you ever like Oreos? Yeah.
Well, when I was a kid,
a big fan of Oreos.
When you're a kid, you're not as picky when you're picky when it comes to regular food, but you're not picky when it comes to cookies. You eat everything. And so when I'm a kid, I'm just like, the first thing that comes to my mind is Chips Ahoy. Yeah. Like just literally Chips Ahoy out of a wrapper.
Yeah.
But fast forwarding to my adult life, everything freaking changes. So I'm gonna give you a cookie that you guys may or may not have even had in your whole lives. I'm gonna give you a chocolate crinkle cookie with powdered sugar on the top. And I just had it like probably a couple of months ago. And you get the soft chocolate filling in the middle, the little bit more crunchy chocolate outer edge with the powdered sugar on the top.
Did you get that from Cookie Co?
I got it from Parisi Cafe in
Okay.
Overland Park, Kansas.
So they have this. What's that cookie place out here? That's real crumble cookie.
Crumble. Yeah.
Crumble,
everyone-
yeah.
everyone
My
loves-
wife's a big fan of that.
Everyone loves that stuff.
Cookie Co. is right next to Red Door, and then Crumbles also a big thing here.
I've seen lines out the door at Crumble Cookie
Yep.
before.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but people seem to like it.
I'm a big fan of oatmeal cream pies. I call them
Yeah, man.
OCPs.
Yeah.
You could
You
put just a
don't mean-
pile of that stuff in front of me, and I'd just gobble it up.
Yeah.
But it's not an
goals.
actual, but it's
No, it's not an actual cookie. But for this
So-
discussion, I'm going to
yeah.
say it's
You
fine.
you liked it so much that you didn't really give a shit about
For
cookies.
sure.
You just like wanted to destroy
Well,
that.
isn't
stuff.
it made with cookies?
Yeah.
I guess.
It's
Top
like an
and
oatmeal
bottom?
cookie with
Sandwich.
With
It's like it's like
cream.
That's
filling.
amazing
cookie
because
sandwich.
it reminds me
Yeah.
of an Oreo. It reminds
big,
me of an
soft
Oreo because you got
Oreo.
the cream in
You
the
got the
middle.
cream in the middle.
Like,
Yeah.
and you can't. There's nothing wrong. Like you can't go wrong with it. You just jam it up your rear end and have a fantastic day at that point.
That was my thing. When I'd go to my grandma's house when I was a little kid, she always had that for me there, sitting there. Those oatmeal cream pies.
They
It
were
was-
always
it was
in my
amazing.
house. When I was growing up, they were always in my house, dude.
But otherwise, like I've gone to in the past Hy-Vee, and they have the sugar cookies out there. They're real soft, you know. Like I definitely prefer a soft cookie over a hard crunchy cookie. That's why I'm not a big Oreo fan. Like, just 'cause it's too-
That would be
it's
the
not
other
soft.
thing. That would be the other thing from my childhood is just a regular sugar cookie that's hard with the frosting on the top. And I had a local bakery when I was growing up. For every holiday, St. Patrick's Day, Easter, Christmas, whatever you want, they would decorate it with the frosting on the top, and it was just like a hard sugar cookie. And that was another one of my favorites. Exactly.
So he likes them hard.
I like it hard.
All right.
Okay.
Hard and jammed in my rear end.
Soft and sweet is my thing over here. Well, that's typically how you eat your food anyway. It absorbs
Pretty
faster.
much.
It gets in your bloodstream faster.
It either
if you
goes
put it your
in,
ass.
it either goes in that direction or it comes out that direction. One or the other.
Give yourself a cookie enema. Right
Exactly.
Up your, right up your ass.
I like that idea.
Gets to the
I think
bloodstream
you
faster.
should write a book about that. That might
book?
be a secret healing for cancer, I think.
Stop eating through your mouth. You have other holes to use instead.
Yeah, you should.
It's a good idea, actually. We should look into that.
You never know until you try it.
But is
It might cure cancer,
Is
man.
it still going to cost you calories, though? Like, is it a good way to lose weight? Maybe.
It may be, but most of your other carbs should come from hard liquor and not from other foods. I'm just throwing that out there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You should have a lot of protein. is what I'm
Protein
saying.
and liquor is pretty much the diet you want to live off
Mhm.
of. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Tanner, what's your cookie?
Scott Cobe actually has the comment, and that's exactly what my favorite is as well. A nice oatmeal raisin cookie. I love the
Oatmeal
raisins.
raisin.
Ooh, raisins,
I mean,
man.
yeah, give me
Ooh,
that.
that's
Not a big
brutal.
fan, but
I didn't
That
like
is
raisins
brutal.
as a kid at all.
I loved raisins as a kid, and I still do. And then, also, let's be real. Nothing beats a soft baked chocolate chip cookie.
what about no-bake cookies?
Ooh, yeah. I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
I just like them because they're softer, but he needs them to be hard. So.
Raisins are disgusting, by the way.
I don't like
I
raisins.
You
don't-
know it.
I don't like it.
They gave us free trail mix at work the other day, and I literally
Pick out
took
those
the raisins. I took the raisins and I threw them in the trash. They're so disgusting.
I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm glad we got the cookies off of our chest here, and
Wait, what was
we
your
kept
favorite?
it. We kept it. Mine. I think no, because I grew up with the oatmeal cream pie as well. I think that
Okay.
was like these days I don't eat cookies, but I do like sugar cookies, the soft ones. You come in like a container, like a 12-pack or whatever of them. I've had those before, and they're pretty good with the icing on the top, the sugar icing on the top. But yeah, I just don't eat them nearly as much as I ever used to as a kid, you know. But I think they just remind me of Grandma's house. That's why I liked oatmeal cream pies. So yeah, we kept it pretty appropriate there. I'm proud of you guys for that one. That's nice. So all right, well,
What? I didn't keep it appropriate.
He went a little.
That
off
was
the
a
rails.
horrible.
That's normal
That
in
was
my
one
world.
of the worst segments I've ever done in my life, dude.
okay.
And we do have children that are watching this show. That was
Oh.
awful.
I thought you did a good job.
Scott.
You didn't go as far as you could have gone.
Yeah, that's true.
I pretty much did.
Scott said there's a place near where I live in Winchester called the Gingerbread House. Their cookies and gingerbread houses are top notch. And then, so he said, you mentioned the New England Patriots earlier. He goes, yeah, the New England Patriots, that's it. JG, you're the man. And then he goes, never mind, I take it back.
Was it because I like to jam
Because
cookies
you like
up
to
my
jam
rear
it.
end?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well,
Next time you do that, let
Scott
us
needs
know.
to come on the show, man. He needs that. He hasn't been on here for a
Yeah,
while.
I've been
so
on a while.
I miss that guy because we used to jam other things up our rear ends together at the same time.
He calls
so.
you the towel man.
Is this why the
So,
towels are orange?
He calls
Yeah.
him the towel man.
I love that guy, man. We got to bring him on more often.
We'll have to get him on sometime.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's. We got a few more minutes left. At least we can jump over to the NBA for a few minutes. Guys, we saw a pretty good game last night. I thought Denver Nuggets once again, taking care of business without Jokic involved. Only got 13 points scored total. Let everybody else do the work and proving to be a well-rounded team that can do it in all different kinds of ways. Tanner, I think that you and I are kind of on the bandwagon of the Denver Nuggets, and I know I've still been supporting them throughout the whole year, especially because the Suns are terrible.
I love how you say Joker. Just kind of let the rest of the team carry.
Okay, he
themselves
had a
with
lot of
13 points.
He had a lot of assists.
He also had 10 rebounds and 12 assists, dude.
You know, for him, that's little
He had a
numbers,
quiet
right?
triple-double.
That's well, what I mean is for him, that's nothing. 10 rebounds for him, that's nothing for Jokic. I mean, the guy, he was almost not even involved in the game. You know what I mean?
He went 4 of 13 from the field, so he was pretty quiet on offense.
He was.
I think that's what you're probably
Yeah,
referring
that's what he was
Yeah,
looking
exactly.
at. I just had to double check.
No, but it was a Jamal Murray show without a doubt, and I just thought other guys really stepped up.
Oh
and
yeah,
played
43.
well.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
Westbrook with 21. So
Yeah, Westbrook
Gordon
Yeah.
showed up.
and what's Porter Jr. doing these days?
He's 14.
14.
So okay. Well, I still think this team has enough talent to make a run in the West.
Well,
so.
they do.
I'm just curious what you guys have to say about the current state of the NBA playoffs.
I think the Clippers suck, man. They flat out suck. And the reason why they suck is, well, it's a combination of things. So we always like to talk about James Harden putting on the fat suit, and then he takes it off every once in a while, then he puts it back on. Dude, the national media right now is like up in arms. They're just like trying to figure out where James Harden is. I'm like, dude, have you not watched his career since 2010? Last time I checked, he came into the league in 2010. And what does he do for the last 15 years? He chokes in the playoffs every freaking year. And so I'm trying to figure out why the national media is just like up in arms and trying to figure out where the hell James Harden is, because he's in the same freaking place that he's been for the last 15 years, which is amazing in the regular season and disappears in the postseason. Do you think that's going to get better when he becomes an older player, or do you think that's going to get worse? Because he disappeared when he was in his prime, and now he's an old guy. Do you really think that's going to change? So I'm just trying to figure out why the narrative is still the same as it was like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. He's the same guy that chokes in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's not going to get
Why
better
do you
or
think it's
worse.
going to change?
It is what he is.
But people think that it's like this big surprise that just like James Harden didn't show up. Meanwhile, you got a guy in Russell Westbrook who set the stage in the previous game. I understand that Jamal Murray is the guy that blew up in that game and scored all the points, but Russell Westbrook is the guy that set the tone in that game. And by the way, Russell Westbrook is shooting 40% from three-point land in the series. You want to know what the percentage the rest of the bench is shooting for Denver in that series? I'll give you a hint. 0% from downtown. So Russell Westbrook out of nowhere just all of a sudden starting to shoot threes, and he's making his threes. So that's where all the energy is coming from right now. It's coming from Russ, and it's coming from the experience of the Denver Nuggets. So the Lakers are, I'm sorry. We'll get to the Lakers later. Clippers are trash. Kawhi Leonard is not a leader. He's an amazing player. He's a superstar. They need some leadership in that locker room, and right now they have nothing. Meanwhile, the Nuggets have all of the leadership with Russ and all those guys that already have a championship ring.
Well, the
So-
Nuggets have consistency too, with high performers, high leaders.
Yeah.
Versus the Clippers just get rid of everybody every year and they keep 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah, I just think, I think everybody expected the Clippers with their star power to make a statement in the series, and it's just the same old thing.
One
It's
of
the
the
same
hottest
thing.
teams in the NBA going into the playoffs.
It's the
Hottest
same
team.
thing over and over again. Oh, you look
Has
at
to fizzle out
you
at
look
some
at
point.
Kawhi Leonard. Oh my gosh, he's got 2 championships. Yeah, well, he's played 16 or 14 years in the league or whatever. And the problem with Kawhi Leonard is he's got James Harden on his team. When you have James Harden on your team, you're not going to do shit in the playoffs. And we already know that. And so you match a team like that up against Denver, it's a recipe for disaster. Now, having said that, I give the Clippers a chance in Game 6. I do see this going 7, but, does it really matter? No.
It doesn't go 7.
Doesn't really matter because after the Clippers win Game 6, you're just going back into the altitude where all of the teams play like ass, and James Harden's going to put that fat suit on once more in Game 7, and he's going to play like ass in the altitude.
It doesn't go 7. It doesn't.
James Harden doesn't need the altitude, by the way, to play like ass. He does that regularly throughout his whole career in the playoffs. So,
Yeah, Denver plays again. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah,
Tomorrow night.
LA is a 6.5-point favorite.
they are.
Ooh, that's quite a spread right there. It's
and that's only because it's rigged, because the league feels sorry. They feel sorry for the Clippers. I don't blame them, dude. I feel sorry for the Clippers. The entire world has felt sorry for the Clippers for the last 30 to 40 years or before I was even born. So I get it. Go ahead and let them do your deed there, NBA. Just help the referees. Let them win that Game 6 to make them feel better about themselves before the Nuggets just go ape shit in Game 7 and destroy them.
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Todd?
Jokic, he's the best player in the world.
Yep.
I'm not going to bet against that guy.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to win Game 6, but I'd fully expect them to close them out at some point. So
Yeah. I think got 2 games to do it.
Nuggets are going to move on.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Earlier today, Jason was talking with us, and he sounded like a Bills fan.
Bills fan.
He did. He sounded like a Bills fan because he was tired of seeing the same person, same teams being good. And that's what it sounded like to me.
I actually enjoy watching greatness. I think it's
I do.
awesome whenever I see the
But
same
it sounded like
player
a Bills fan to
dominate
me.
a league for so
Talking
long.
about how boring Denver is, and look what they're going to do
That's why
to the Clippers.
I respected Tom Brady so much over his
Mhm.
career because he was so consistent. I love watching greatness in a sport that's consistent.
Denver is boring. The Celtics are boring.
I think Denver's
The
boring.
world is
'Cause
getting
they're
tired
good.
of both of those teams. But guess
I'm
what?
sick of
I
it.
think Denver's fun to watch.
just like
actually.
a Bills or Bengals fan, dude.
I think Denver's fun. Honestly.
I'm having to live on the other side of the world from when I was a Spurs fan for 20 years because I had to sit there and listen to how boring the Spurs were for 20 years. And I was the only guy that was a Spurs fan that I knew, and I was sitting there watching them, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Meanwhile, everybody else was telling me how boring they am. So now I get to live on the other side of the spectrum here where it's like, my gosh, can we get anybody other than Denver and the Celtics in there? So I understand what the world was thinking for the last 20 years or, when the Spurs were running through their dynasty because it is incredibly boring.
Well,
Like
that's why
Jokic,
people hate the Chiefs. It's same kind of thing.
and as much as I hate what he
That's why I'm saying
said,
the Bills Bengals fan.
as much as I hate what he said about Jokic, I can't argue with it. He is the best player in the world, and it's not even close because nobody can stop him. So that's what it is. I mean, it's the Celtics. The Celtics, by the way, have gotten better this year.
They did.
Where Jason Tatum's gotten better, which is that's a scary thing to say. But the Celtics are better. Denver is probably better, even though they've lost players over the last couple of years. They lost their coach. So we don't know how that's going to work out. But, I mean, it's just we're going to have to live with it, man. The Celtics are the favorite to win the whole thing. And That's why we're having a conversation right now about the West. It's like, okay, who can we somehow get into the finals besides Denver? But in the end, it's probably going to be Denver.
It's going to be Denver.
Well, do you guys give Cleveland any shot in the East?
No. OKC's in the West, aren't they?
Yep.
No, okay.
Which he's the OKC fan right now. So.
Oh, I love.
I know he is.
I love him, man. Like I'm gonna go to a game. I'm gonna go to a game in that series. If Denver pulls this out, I'm gonna go down to that series and watch a game. But, outside of Shea, that team is just too young for me. Denver is a team that's already done it. They got a guy in Westbrook, on the other hand, that's never won a championship in his whole freaking life.
He's playing decent right now, Westbrook is, which it's good to see.
He's
a little
playing
sloppy with the
fantastic
ball.
right
I don't
now.
know if you guys watched the whole game.
He always is.
His ball handling is really sloppy. It reminds me of Durant's son's experience. But at the end of the day, he still makes more plays than not. So
If
he's
you
always
could
sloppy.
write a book, you would create a narrative where somehow a guy like Russ could finally win a championship. A guy who averaged a triple-double for a couple of years but never got any respect. That's how I would write a book.
I tell you
is
what.
for him to
and then
finally
Jokic
get a
can put
ring.
him on his shoulders like a little kid at the end.
Yeah.
when they win the
Yeah.
championship.
But look, Denver plays OKC, right? Let's say that happens. Then we got a whole new narrative because we got Westbrook versus OKC, right? We got that punishment that Westbrook has had for so long. On the other hand, we go to the Clippers and OKC. Well, then Jason said he's wearing a fat Larden suit all the way down to the game. So I'm interested to see what we got.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like that would be interesting too. It's not going to happen.
I'll get you
I'm
buy
gonna
you a
go.
bubble suit, like a little bubble. You know those bubble
I'm
suits?
going to go to a game no matter who they play because I just want to go down to OKC and watch a game.
Yeah.
But
I did that last year, man. It was a lot of fun. Other
if
than
you could
my
have
sons
a
got beat.
If you could have a Westbrook versus a fat suit Larden, that would be a good ticket. I'd pay a lot of money for that ticket right there. Who doesn't want the fat suit versus old man Westbrook?
I don't want to see the fat suit. I'm over it with
I love
that guy.
I love it. All right, should we get into it? The Lakers talk. Should we talk about it?
Jesus.
What do you want to talk about, Tanner?
What do you want to talk about? You're the one that wants to bring up the Lakers.
Well, I know you love Luka. I know you love LeBron because you think that LeBron is the GOAT. So why don't you just lead it off with how good they are and how they're going to come back and win 3 games in a row, starting tonight against the Wolves, who are way too young of a team. Nobody respects them. And, just why don't you just lead it off with how good that you think the LeBron is? He's too good to lose this series.
He thinks you're a LeBron ball washer.
Oh yeah.
Go wash his balls.
As he
lead it
normally
off right
does
now.
with me. As he normally does with me. Look, it's 3-1, right? Lakers needed that last game. They needed that last game, I think, to stay alive. Quite frankly, to me, now you have to go back to Minnesota, right? They're in Minnesota today.
They're in LA.
They're in LA.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, might give them a chance here for a game. They might be able to take that 5.
Lakers are favored, by the way, by
Yes.
six.
They're always favored.
by 6.
And they always lose. It's never good. Look, they're missing. I know they got Luka. I know they got LeBron. You got Reeves out there, but you're still missing a key big man, and it's showing in this matchup. Julius Randle is eating them up down low. I mean, there's no matchup down low. You can have anybody you want. You can have 40 and 40, and you're still going to lose by probably 10 to 20 because you have no big man down low that can stop anybody. That Charlotte trade with Williams has officially bit them in the ass because you don't have that big man down there. Plain and simple. So as much as you want me to sit here and tell you LeBron's going to come back and, they're going to win in 7, they're not. It's not happening. They had their opportunity, I think, yesterday to make it a 7-game series or at least put it in that situation in that matter. It's not. It's Ant-Man. As long as I think Ant shows up today, I think Julius Randle shows up today, and that's all you need. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are done, so I guess we should dig a little bit deeper here because I did want to get Todd's thoughts on overall on the trade because I think the Lakers made a great trade there in acquiring Luka.
Yes.
But the Mavs, at the same time, probably didn't want to pay him $70 million a year for a guy that did not play defense, who showed up out of shape. And so I think that people are going to write this team off. You know, if you're a Lakers fan, you're probably thinking, okay, well, what are we going to do now? Because we made a trade for a guy that doesn't play defense. He's out of shape. But
still confused on this out of shape thing with him. Still
well, he
confused.
drinks beers. He drinks beers in the post-game interviews.
Great. Good for him.
But I want to get to Todd's thoughts, because I think it was a fantastic trade for the Lakers, because they didn't give up any first-round picks, but at the same time, I understand why the Mavs wanted to get rid of him, because he just, you know, he wasn't like a guy that was going to hustle on defense. So, what do you think about that, Todd?
Who was the best player in that trade? Luka. Lakers got the better end of the deal. AD is fantastic when he's healthy. He's rarely healthy.
Yeah.
He's healthy for about 55 games a year. I don't know. I don't think it's enough to get over the hump in this series. I actually think they'll probably win tonight, but I think Timberwolves probably close them out in 6. So
Yeah, I mean, I just think that if you're a Lakers fan, you need to give this thing some time, because as we saw with LeBron back in 2010, 2011, you're not going to win a championship in year one. I mean, they just got Luka Doncic. You got to get some team chemistry. So it's not going to happen overnight.
I do like the way him and LeBron play together.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm a big fan of Austin Reeves as well, but I think they definitely need just another piece.
That field physical cost them the next round.
I just think you look at the way that Anthony Davis was out of shape until he went to come play with LeBron. LeBron got his ass in shape. I look at Luka Doncic, out of shape guy. LeBron's going to figure out a way to get his ass in shape next year. Nothing's happening right now.
We're talking about a guy that led his team to the finals last year is out of shape.
It's not.
He's got to work on his
out of
conditioning.
shape. I think that people just are concerned because they know he could be in better shape.
Because he doesn't have a 12-pack abs and,
right.
you know, and has.
He's a little fluffier than people would like, I suppose.
Reminds me of Nikola Jokic a little bit.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we got to come.
I'm just
you gotta
saying.
talk about Joker too. Then
I'm
and
just
everybody
saying.
else in the league.
Anthony Davis was a different guy when he came to play with LeBron on the Lakers.
I mean, at the end of the day,
he was an injured bum every single year. Everybody knows it. And then LeBron figured out a way to clean up his diet and get him in shape.
So does Luka?
And it
make
sounds
plays in the fourth
ridiculous
quarter?
to put it out there like that. He can
Every
do the
time.
same thing for
Well,
Luka.
that's my point. Then, if he's making plays in the fourth quarter, he's still a clutch player when he needs to be. He's not out there winded by the fourth quarter, you know, just exhausted for the day. I mean, that's just kind of his body he has, I guess. I mean, maybe in some ways it's actually beneficial. I don't know. People could say Patrick Mahomes could be in better shape. People could say he could lose 10 pounds.
He's a little doughy.
Yeah,
You know?
he's a dad bod.
But it works for
Yeah.
him in the way he plays. You know, his body type works for the way he plays. Maybe Luka's is something similar to that, where he's not this, you know, pristine specimen physically, but it works for the way he plays the game.
He is a doughboy. I like that term
Sure.
that you threw out there. He does look like the Pillsbury doughboy.
I'm just saying,
Luka.
Mahomes has always had a little extra thickness. I remember looking at Alex Smith and Mahomes, looking at their asses from behind. I just remember going, man, that's a thick ass right there Mahomes has compared to this tiny ass Alex Smith has. That's where all that torque comes from for those freaking 70-yard bombs is in that ass.
Look,
So,
I don't have any specific.
It's good for his
examples
game.
here,
Luka needs it too.
but there is history like where guys do get in super great shape that wasn't like that in their careers, like about mid-career, where then all of a sudden they start getting hurt because they're in this great shape, but they're pressuring their muscles as much more than what they are because they're used to playing as is. So there's no sense if Luka's not getting
That's
hurt.
not what happened
He's
to
not
AD,
sitting
man.
down. AD happened because
AD.
he's 6. What is it? What's he saying himself? He's 6'10" is what he said.
You guys
He
that
is.
play fantasy basketball, you guys know AD got injured every freaking year. And then when he got with LeBron, it just stopped. All of his
Some
injuries
guys
just
need it.
vanished
Some
into
guys
thin
don't,
air.
man. Some guys don't. Why tell you think he's if he
Luka
was better shape?
plays below the rim too. AD always played above the rim.
Yeah.
I mean, he's way more bouncy and explosive, and guys with tendons like that, they get hurt a lot. And Luka doesn't play above the rim, so he's not going to get hurt.
Luka's got to go
much.
bounce off people. You need to be a little. Got to have a little bit on you.
I think the biggest question is LeBron going to be too old? Because I think, but with Luka and Austin Reeves and LeBron, I think it's perfect. But the question is LeBron going to be too old next year?
You're telling me that
He's an android.
he's 40 years old and he's in the playoffs as a 3 seed? No.
What do you average this year? 25, 8, and 8, roughly?
I think so, that sounds about right.
That's pretty good.
At
for
40 years old?
40
He's the Tom Brady of basketball. He can play forever.
Yeah, and Brady was still playing at an elite level when he was 42, 43, 44 years old.
I'm gonna believe it that he falls off when he's out of the league.
When he falls off.
Yeah,
when he falls
when
off.
he's
Pretty
out.
much.
When he's out. Yeah, no, I don't look. Yeah, Lakers. I think they were a failed physical away from making this a series. So, plain and simple. But you had another topic on this here. Houston Golden State is what you wanted to bring up. You wanted to talk about if Lakers were to come back and make this a series, who competes better, even though the Houston Rockets just slaughtered Golden State tonight. Who comes back and possibly beats a Golden State?
Yeah, so Golden State was throwing this game tonight. I don't know if you guys were watching it. They were throwing the game from the beginning, and then they accidentally came back.
Well, yeah, they kind of did.
They were within
lost
like
by
13 points.
They lost by 15.
I think they might have been within 12. So they tried to throw the game, and then somehow Houston let them come back. Look, this is – I'm not talking about the Lakers right now. This is Minnesota versus the Warriors. So I just want to get you guys' thought on that particular series because, to me, Golden State has way too much experience, a much better coach. No way in hell that Minnesota would stand a chance in that injury unless, for some reason, Jimmy Butler is not like 100% or he's playing at like 75% or something like that. There's no way Minnesota stands a chance if they end up playing Golden State in the series. So I don't know what you guys think on that, but to me, it's Golden State's series to lose when they get past the Rockets and when they play against Minnesota. Todd, your thoughts?
I'd probably take Golden State over the Timberwolves in about 6, maybe 7. Just because they've been there before, they know what they're doing. What did that? They've been together 8 years now?
Yeah,
9, 10 years. I don't know.
Quite a while.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're not they're a 7th seed on paper right now, but that's not a 7-seed
No,
team.
not at all.
So that's kind of why we're seeing the current. Obviously Houston took care of business today, but the upset of the series, the 2 seed's going to get knocked off here in a couple of days.
Yeah, and I think the big wild card would be if Draymond starts acting a fool and starts getting thrown out of games, then that could throw things off a little bit.
I know.
But
I'm over Dray. I can't stand that guy.
the way Jimmy Butler is fitting in right now with this team is freaking phenomenal.
He fits
and
so well attitude-wise.
Jimmy Butler is another guy that you wish it's kind of like Russell Westbrook we talked about earlier. You would give anything to see that guy finally get a freaking championship ring. And so I think
see them go against each other at some point in this series.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the playoffs.
Yeah.
Jimmy against Westbrook would be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, that could happen.
I kind of agree with Scott here. Minnesota's athleticism will cause the Warriors problems, and their height also will give Golden State fits. Similar to what we've seen with the Lakers here. I think it's pretty similar. I think becomes a series.
So Minnesota can give them problems in a couple of games because they play really good defense. Like you said, very athletic. I don't trust their shooting. So they're a very streaky shooting team. They're not really good at shooting. And so I think when you pair a team like that up against a team with Steph Curry, like that's kind of a wrap. I don't trust the shooting percentage of Minnesota, in a series like that.
I don't
against
necessarily
Golden
think
State.
you got to shoot for 23s to beat Golden State. I think if you have a guy down low, aka Randall, I think you can capitalize and win some of those hard-nosed battles and keep yourself in those games.
But you're
Give
not
yourself some
picking.
chance.
You're not picking them to win the series, right?
If it's Minnesota or Golden State,
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. Not right now. I'm not. I don't know. I need that to actually happen.
Yeah. You need the Clippers. You need Larden to actually throw on his fat suit and show you what I've been talking about for the last 10 years now.
Now I'm rooting for the Clippers because I want to buy you a fat suit to take down to OKC with you.
Well, the fat suit started when he joined the Brooklyn Nets.
I know.
The Brooklyn Nets was the first.
No, it was
fat
Houston.
suit.
He didn't want to be it. Well,
Did he throw
he
the
threw
fat
it on
suit
in Houston.
maybe
The
at the
last
end.
year
at the
Houston.
end. At the
It was
end.
Houston. Yes.
But with the Nets,
Because
he just
wanted
didn't
traded.
care.
He wanted traded.
Man.
And then he threw it back on when he got tired.
That's a
of
good
it.
way to get out of a relationship. Just put on a fat suit. And put on the fat suit, and they'll get you out of there.
I don't necessarily agree with that because there's a lot of chicks out there that would actually get hornier if you did throw on the fat suit because they like that particular body style.
Depends. If you're in a long relationship and you haven't had a fat suit, kind of like Harden. All of a sudden, Harden at the end with the Rockets, put the fat suit on. All of a sudden, it's like, all right, it's a good way to get out of here, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, that
But
works in the
if you-
NBA. I'm talking about with women. A lot of women like the fat suit.
That's just because it's easy.
Yeah.
Just 'cause it's easy. Oh boy! All right, guys. You guys all wrapped up for the day, or what are you thinking? Yeah, any
I
final
want to talk
thoughts, at
about some
least?
more oatmeal cookies, man.
Oh,
I like what he said about the oatmeal
I'm gonna go
cookies.
get a couple on my way home.
Yeah. So one of JG's favorite things to do on the way home is go to Quick Trip, I think.
Yeah.
And you like to get some bullshit in Quick Trip every once in a while.
Yeah. Actually, you're on the clock. You got to get there before 9:40.
Yeah, you know the schedule.
They throw the good food in the trash.
Yeah,
you don't want to
there
see
you go.
that. So.
But they brought back the square wrap, which I'm really happy about. So I definitely been eating those lately.
I don't even know what
What's
that is.
involved
Is
in the
that
square wrap?
So it's literally like it's a square wrap of a tortilla, but in a square shape, right? But there's a circle sausage patty in there, an egg, and cheese. And then the cheese is melted inside of there.
Sounds delicious.
Oh, it's amazing. It's my whenever I was back in the day with your company, that was my morning routine. Every single morning, I would eat one square wrap from Quick Trip, and then they discontinued it for a few years, and I was pissed. And I started getting on Twitter. Started getting on Twitter.
Yeah, you tweeted
every
at
day,
them.
tweeting at them, like calling them cowards and bring back the square wrap. And they brought it back like a month ago. And
I don't even know what that is,
And
dude.
he got back
just-
on to tweet them. Just
It's
basically
got
said
it's
that.
got
They brought it back.
eggs,
It's
They brought it
hilarious.
back.
but it's got eggs on it. So is
Yeah.
that just in the mornings, or can you get it in the evenings
you can get
too?
it in the evenings too now.
Oh,
It
I
didn't
gotta.
used to be
I'm
that
gonna
way.
go get it right now, dude.
It's on the
'cause I've
bottom
never had
bottom
one.
section on the hot food.
Oh,
Bottom
I
section.
gotta go get it right now.
I
Is there
love-
brisket on there? What do they put?
So it's a sausage patty, egg, and then cheese melted in a wrap.
All right.
It's amazing, man. I used to eat that stuff every morning.
I'm gonna have to
burn it
try
off
that
by
out,
11
dude.
o'clock working for.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's why I never felt bad about
Yeah.
it. Like nowadays, I got to get it every other day. Not walking as much. So yeah, if you see one in there, man, it's in the white wrapper at Quick Trip. You gotta.
Okay, what are the condiments like? Do they have like human jizz or anything on there, or
Oh wow.
what do they
Well,
do with that?
I don't know who packages them together, if that's what you're asking, or what they do with them. But I'll just say, if it is, it's worth it. Whatever they put in there, it's worth it, man. I was addicted to that stuff for a while.
I'm gonna go get one, dude. I want to order one right now.
I
All
promise you, it's amazing.
Let's get out of here. Todd, appreciate you joining
hey
us, man.
guys, I
Yeah,
enjoyed
Todd.
it.
Hope
Thank
you
Hey,
guys
man,
enjoyed it.
I'm so glad you got to come in and join and
I
talk draft with
I
us for a
enjoyed the hell
bit.
out of this. This was fun.
We got to have you back on for some fantasy talk
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
I love that.
Once a month.
Love that.
Once a month.
Oh,
There
I
you
don't
go.
know. That's a lot.
Well, Tanner's moving out
You're
of his
asking
mom's.
a lot.
He's moving out of his mom's basement in a month, so we're not going to be at this location any longer.
TBD.
So we'll see how things play out over time.
TBD.
We might be remote for a little while, but
That's right. TBD.
eventually we'll be back in a place somewhere around town. So we'll figure it out.
Unless I make a really cool setup, then you're coming over.
I'm not driving all the way down to your new
Oh,
city.
yeah, you are.
That place sucks. If I do, I'm staying the night because I'm not driving back home then.
You take the back roads back, dude.
No, I'm not taking back roads back from that city.
All right. Let's get
All
out
right.
of here, boys. Hey, next week we'll have the whiskey tasting.
Yep.
Thanks to Mike's dad. So
Yeah, it's something he put together over the course of a few months or years, maybe. And it'll be interesting because it's going to be like 12 of them. We're going to have them all set out on the table here. And we're not allowed to know what they are until after we.
but
drink
you're
it.
gonna know what they are.
No,
Or
I'm
do
gonna try not to.
Do you need Curious assistance? She can pour it for us and get it all situated.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'll look into this. I'll figure it out
Okay.
and figure out what we need to do.
All right.
So, all right, guys. Well, thank y'all for joining in, and Scott, especially you for all the comments, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
And we'll be back here in a week. That's right.
Yep.
That's right. We're not skipping a week this week. Since we missed last week, we're going back to back. So we'll be back next week.
And then we're all going to Vegas.
And then we're all going to Vegas.
We might do a show from out there.
We're not doing a show out there.
I want to do a show.
You're
Yeah,
not
let's
doing a
let's
show
do
out
a
there.
drunk Vegas show.
You don't have the balls to do a show out there, Tanner.
You
That's
don't
the
have
problem.
the.
I'll do it from the hotel room. I don't
Hey,
care.
hey. Those yellow tooth bombs.
Oh, that's right. Yellow tooth bombs.
Right. No, I'm going to bring
Oh,
my
boy.
toothpaste. I have toothpaste out there in Vegas.
All right, we're getting out of here, boys.
All right, guys. I will see y'all on the next one.
Outro.
See